AITA for giving my girlfriend an ultimatum about her male best friend. I'm having a tough time with my girlfriend Sarah and her best friend Jake. They're super close, and I often feel like a third wheel. Jake calls her babe and sweetheart. This really bothers me. At our 1-year anniversary, she even postponed it to go to a concert with Jake. I asked her to set boundaries, but she said I was too controlling and siding with Jack. I, 28M, have been dating my girlfriend Sarah, 26F, for just over a year now. And while I love her, there's one thing that's been eating at me since the very beginning: her relationship with her male best friend, Jake, 27M. Jake has been Sarah's ride or die since college, and I knew from the start that they were close. But what I didn't realize was how much it would impact our relationship. I've always tried to be the chill, trusting boyfriend. I don't want to be the guy who's threatened by a platonic friendship, but honestly, it's gotten to the point where I feel like I'm the third wheel in my own relationship. Jake and Sarah are practically inseparable. They hang out multiple times a week: dinners, movie nights, spontaneous late-night drives, and I'm usually not even invited. If I try to join, it's awkward, like I'm crashing their private, joke-filled world that I'm not a part of. It stings, but I tried to let it go for the sake of keeping the peace. But then things started to cross a line. Jake texts her constantly, even when we're together on dates. It's not just casual stuff either. He calls her babe and sweetheart. And when I brought this up to Sarah, she laughed and said it was just their thing and that it didn't mean anything. Apparently, they've been calling each other that for years, but to me, it feels like there's more to it. Who calls their best friend babe when they're in a relationship? Then there was the night I stayed over at her place and woke up at 2 a.m. to find Sarah on FaceTime with Jake. She was giggling like a schoolgirl, whispering so she wouldn't wake me. When I asked her about it the next morning, she brushed it off, saying Jake needed someone to talk to. But what about me? Am I just here as background noise while she stays emotionally tethered to this guy? The final straw came last weekend. Sarah and I had been planning a special weekend getaway for our 1-year anniversary, something we'd been looking forward to for months. But out of nowhere, Jake invites her to a concert the same weekend. Sarah asked me if we could postpone our anniversary trip so she could go with Jake instead, because it's a band they both absolutely love. I was floored. Our anniversary, something we'd been planning for months, could just be rescheduled for Jake. It was like I didn't even matter. I told her that this was too much and asked her to set some clear boundaries with Jake, like no more pet names, no more hanging out one-on-one all the time, and definitely no more prioritizing him over our relationship. She blew up at me, calling me controlling and insecure. She even said, "You knew Jake was part of my life when we started dating. Why are you trying to change me now?" So things got worse when Jake apparently told her that I was being toxic and trying to manipulate her. Sarah is siding with him, saying I'm overreacting and that nothing has ever happened between them. She's now furious with me for giving her an ultimatum, when all I really asked for were some boundaries that would make me feel like I'm her boyfriend, not just a side character in her life with Jake. Now, Sarah's giving me the silent treatment, and I'm starting to feel like I've somehow become the villain in my own relationship. Am I losing my mind here? I'm not asking her to drop Jake completely, just to prioritize us and respect our relationship. But maybe I've been unreasonable. So Reddit, AITA for asking my girlfriend to set boundaries with her male best friend. Or is this friendship way too close for comfort? Relevant comments. Commenter, you are not losing your mind. Their friendship and connection is not a normal friendship behavior when you have a boyfriend. She doesn't prioritize you. She prioritizes him. And it is an old saying. You should not judge by their words, but look at their action. Her actions tell you clearly that you are not as important. So treat yourself right and leave her. You're not toxic. She is. Commenter, do everyone a favor and end this thing now. You will be doing Sarah a favor. She can have Jake. You will be doing Jake a favor. He can have Sarah. Most of all, though, you will be doing yourself a huge favor because you can find someone who sees you as her ride or die, and someone who is actually loyal to you, because after all, loyalty is the single most important factor in friendship, not being nice or liking the same things. Sarah does not believe she needs to be loyal to you. You know how I know? We can only truly know what we believe versus what we think we believe by watching how we act. He actions speak volumes. Story 2, AITA for telling my cousin his dad cheated, which ruined the entire family. 22F, told my cousin that 21F that her dad, my uncle, cheated on her mom and is refusing to leave the mistress. My aunt, her mom, decided to stay with my uncle to protect the peace of the family on both sides, my cousins, and overall my grandparents, etc. My uncle travels a lot for work, so he's often separated from my aunt, and I accidentally overheard from my mom that my uncle has a mistress/sugar baby in the city he mainly works in. The whole family knows. As a child, in their eyes, I wasn't supposed to find out. My parents strictly told me do not tell my cousin that his dad is a lying cheater. They want her to have a normal life, but if I were my cousin, I'd want to know what my dad did. So I told my cousin. She is understandably upset, hurt, and confused. She was their only child and daddy's little princess, basically. So she confronted her dad, caused an entire scene in the family, and declared she's going to take my aunt's maiden name. She cut off all contact with her dad, who is begging and texting her every day, but refuses to dump his mistress. My family thought she found out on her own, but she accidentally revealed that she heard it from me. Now, everyone is mad at me and said I ruined their entire family. No one is seeing faults with my uncle's actions, and it's my fault for destroying a family? Am I in the wrong here? Relevant comments. Commenter, think about it this way. If you didn't tell your cousin, and she found out that you guys knew about her dad's affair and didn't tell his daughter, she would probably abandon you all. Anybody hiding an affair from somebody affected, aka your cousin, is a bad person. NTA, you did the right thing. Commenter, if your cousin was important enough for him, he wouldn't cheat at the beginning. Does her mom know the mistress? How come she accepts? OP, my aunt and my mom spoke to the mistress together. The mistress is actually a very shameless sugar baby who didn't care about breaking up an entire family. She was getting a hefty monthly allowance, expensive gifts, and everything she wanted. She refuses to leave my uncle and said, well, if he's not dumping me, why should I dump him? She has no morals, and it really upset my aunt. My aunt also lives very lavishly from my uncle, receives more money than the mistress, etc. So she tried to not let it get to her, and they've been estranged ever since. Still no divorce, even though my cousin knows. Story 3. My wife confessed 4 weeks after giving birth that she cheated on me 3 months into our marriage. So my wife confessed to cheating on me, and I don't know what to do. She confessed to me that roughly 2-3 months after we got married, she cheated on me with one of her exes. She says it was only hand stuff, but how can I believe that? She tells me this just 4 weeks after giving birth to our first child, and I'm torn. On top of that, the timeline has me concerned if this kid is even mine. I've ordered a paternity test without her knowing. It comes in tomorrow, but I'm truly scared. I currently want to try and work on things only for our child. If we didn't have him, I would end it right away. I am severely depressed from this, and hate myself, because I still love her, but equally hate her at the same time. I keep trying to mask my depression and act like I'm okay, but I'm not. I've done everything for this woman. I've pushed myself in my career to make enough for her dream to be a stay-at-home mom. We're planning on relocating across the country to be closer to some of her family. I've bought her a car. I never buy myself anything and give her anything she wants, asks for, and this is how she repays me. Does anyone who's been through something like this have any thoughts, opinions? I'm slowly starting to consider a divorce, but the court will likely give her majority custody because she's his mom, but she currently has no job and will have to live with her parents, which just overall wouldn't be best for our kid. My thought is, he would be best with both of us in the house, even if it means I have to suffer for 18 years until he can move out on his own. Thoughts? Edit. It's only been a few minutes, but thank you to everyone who has posted their thoughts and opinions. It helps me more than you know. I haven't been able to talk to anyone about this, and have been feeling so alone. A little more information. I'm only 25, she's 24. I know I have a long life ahead to recover from this. It's just so hard to see that far. I want to be happy. I just don't see how, no matter what option I choose. She also has threatened to unalive herself if I were to leave her, which scares me to death in so many different ways. Relevant comments. Commenter, my dude. I know you want the best for your kid, but how can you do that when you're not at your best? I'll not say you need to divorce now, but do get some legal counseling. Get yourself to therapy and be honest about your feelings. You have the right to be angry, sad, disappointed, etc. Don't mask those feelings because it won't help you or your kid. Do take your time and don't trust anything your wife says either. That will give you a breather because you won't be circling her words around your head once you decide that nothing she says it's true. Take care of yourself, man. Commenter. Her dream of being a stay-at-home mom. Ding, ding, ding. She's outed herself here. She sees you as a meal ticket and nothing more. My ex cheated on me 9 months after we had my oldest, and I stupidly stayed and tried to reconcile. 9 years, and 2 more kids later, I caught her in another 18-month affair with a coworker. Don't be me, she'll just do it again. Get a paternity test done and make the break. You can be an awesome dad without dealing with years of foreboding and mistrust. It's not worth it, my friend. Trust me. Edit. It wasn't just hand stuff either. I got that bullshit excuse the first time around too. Adults don't fondle and kiss, they have sex. Story 4. I found my cousin's suicide note where he confesses that his brother has been sexually abusing him for 15+ years. I don't know how to tell my aunt and uncle, and I'm scared that my accused cousin will get away with it. Hi, I have never used a site like this before, but I am at a loss. My youngest cousin, 26, died last month from apparent suicide. He left behind a note where he describes in great detail how his brother, my oldest cousin, who is 29, has been sexually abusing him since elementary school. The abuse is said to have started when my oldest cousin was 12 and my youngest was 9. He says my oldest cousin's boyfriend, they live together, started to participate in the abuse within the past few years, which finally drove him to a breaking point. As far as I know, I'm the only one who knows this, and I am almost certain that my younger cousin is telling the truth. The note was extremely detailed. He had been struggling with mental health and substance abuse issues since he was very young. I remember his behavioral and aggression issues began in 5th grade, around when the abuse would have started. It hurts to think my older cousin could do something so vile, and I don't want to believe it, but I just can't see my youngest cousin lying about this. I've been filled with rage and guilt since I read his note. If these allegations are true, I have to get some kind of justice for my younger cousin. I know there isn't enough evidence to bring him to court, but I have to do something. Also, I feel like it's important to notify others if they are around a potential sexual abuser for their own safety. If my knowledge of this note could protect someone from being raped and abused in the future, then I have a moral obligation to share it. I was thinking of showing the note to people connected to my oldest cousin and his boyfriend, or even his employer, but I wonder if that would be inappropriate without concrete proof. I'm at a loss for what to do next. The other people in their immediate family are my uncle, my aunt, and my cousin's other brother. There are 3 brothers. I have no idea if their other brother was abused by the oldest one or if it was just the youngest one. I believe they should know about it, but I'd feel like the worst person in the world if I showed my grieving aunt and uncle a note from their dead son where he says he was sexually abused by their other son to the point of suicide. Is that moral? I feel like they have to know. I mean, what if my older cousin moves on to abusing his other brother? I think my little cousin left that note for them because he couldn't stand to tell his family while he was alive. I don't think I was supposed to find it, but I think they were. What should I do? How would I even tell them? It hasn't slipped my mind that my uncle could have turned a blind eye to the abuse. I can't ignore the possibility that my uncle could be a sexual abuser either, and my older cousin just continued the cycle of abuse. Rape isn't normal behavior for a 12-year-old. I really don't want to believe that, but it is a possibility. My uncle is connected to my dad's side of the family, and they also have a sister. Their sister cut both of them off completely and went radio silent right after I was born, about 22 years ago. So I never met her. My dad never knew why, and he wished he knew the truth. He respected her, but it confused him. He said they were on good terms as far as he knew, but she and my uncle weren't on great terms. I wonder if she cut us off because she noticed something was off about my uncle and his family, and she didn't want to be connected to anyone who was still involved with my uncle. I could find her number, but I'm worried it would be inappropriate to contact her. I mean, what am I supposed to say? I know I've never met you, and I'm sorry to bother you. You don't have to tell me anything if you don't want to, but I just found out the brother you haven't talked to in 20 years has a son that sexually abused his other son since we're both children, and I really want to know if you think that brother is an evil person or not, because I'm terrified about it. I wanted to talk to her, but I felt like it would be disrespectful, so I decided not to. Anyway, if there are abusers in my family, I want them held accountable in some way. I have a really strong sense of justice, and I have fond memories of growing up with my youngest cousin. I cared for him. If my oldest cousin and his boyfriend really did this, it wouldn't be fair for them to live consequence-free after destroying someone else's life. He said in the note that he was raped countless times, even by both of them at the same time, and that he self-harmed and abused every drug under the sun to escape. Meanwhile, they are engaged, and they both have stable jobs. I couldn't live with myself if I let that go. I would contact the police, but they don't take sexual violence cases seriously, especially not when the victim is male, and all I have for evidence is his note. I'd want them to investigate the things described in the note because he was very specific about when, where, and how incidents occurred, but I highly doubt they would. So, I don't know what to do. How can I ensure that if they did this, those two are held accountable in some way? What are my options? What should I tell my aunt and uncle? Should I talk to the third cousin or my uncle's estranged sister? What is the right thing to do here? Thank you for sticking around until the end. If you liked our videos, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to keep up with our latest content. Have a wonderful day.